here we have it, my purchase for £2. Oh boy. Now I've been fishing for nearly 19 years. I've been doing videos on this channel for nearly 15 years and I've been working in the fishing industry for nearly 6 years. So it's fair to say I've seen my fair share of tackle come and go, and especially in my line of work, I get to see things from all ends of the spectrum, from the more budget friendly all the way up to very high-end and expensive kit. So I'm kind of become a little bit desensitized from it all, and unfortunately lost a bit of the buzz of getting new gear because I'm quite a fortunate position. But in this series, I thought I'd see just how accessible fishing is if you're coming into this for the first time and don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And one of the best places to find some cheaper quality stuff, that we found anyway, is Facebook Marketplace. Now my wife and I have recently renovated quite a lot of our house. There's still quite a long way to go and it's extremely expensive. So Marketplace has been an absolute godsend when it's come to furniture, tables, chairs, cabinets. So you can get some real gems on there. So coming into the fishing world, I'm sure it's no different, I hope. Anyway, otherwise this video is going to be a bit of a flop. So I've got my phone, I've got Facebook. I'm going to open that up and go onto Marketplace and see what there is available. Hopefully there's something local. I'm just going to search for fishing rod or fishing rod and reel for now. Let's see what's, as you can see, I've already had a little glance over the last few weeks to see if this is a feasible idea. So fishing rod and reel, and let's just go from within 18 kilometers, sorry, of Radstock. Let's start with them seeing there's a pair of carp fishing rods, some Witchwoods for 60 quid. So I know that they'd be good. Obviously I've used Witchwood rods before. Some of my first ever rods were Witchwood Riot? No, Witchwood, it was Witchwood Rage. I can't actually remember. I know I had some Witchwood Rage VT alarms that sounded like a sick duck according to someone on YouTube. They had volume and tone and they just went eh, eh. I'll try and insert a clip of how they sounded.
Go. That's fish number 7. It's literally about 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, I was making my last vlog saying I hadn't had anything.
But I have had a lot of Witchwood stuff in the past, so I know it's good quality and doesn't really break the bank. And these are extricator 10s. They look quite nice, but maybe a bit too pricey for me. 3 fishing rods and tackle reels for 50 quid. Okay, that's maybe a bit too battered for what I'm after. Yeah, maybe not. That looks like someone's found some bits in the back of their shed. Oh, Dynamo Compact Carp, 12 foot, 2.5 pounds. Now that's pretty much how I started. I had 12 foot, 2.5 pound test curve rods when I first got into fishing. And like I said, I think they were Witchwood ones. So this is an ideal sort of test curve for having good fun. That reel looks pretty battered. I don't know what that is. The size of the handle on it, for the size of the actual reel. What does it say? Oh, that was the chair, not me. Line Effer 50, but it's a bait runner. So that's handy. That's how I started as well. Lovely gold bits on the reel seat. So that could be a contender, and you can't really complain when that's only 15 quid. Go on then. Are you coming back quickly?
No, I'm staying here.
Can you shut the door then, please?
Okay.
Interrupting my video. So that is a strong contender, and it's only in Froome, which is very local to me, which is ideal as well. Another one for a tenner in Warminster, so not too far either. I recognise that whipping, but I'm not sure. Euro stick. What's that say? Complete graphite. Not really sure what that is, but again, only a tenner. So it's good to see that you can get a rod for cheap, a reel for cheap. These are a bit more expensive. You've got some Fox Horizons, another rod for 35 quid. $100 job lot fishing tackle, Sonic, Chub, Witchwood. And that's ideal. So if you're really getting into fishing from the start, some of this you may think, I'd want to change up from that later date because it's not for you. But to get you going, that's not bad. You can get several rods, some reels, a brolly. Looks like an unhooking mat or something in there. Quite a unique looking pod, I've got to give it that, and the stove and things, but that's not bad for 100, I'm guessing it's meant to be pounds, it's in your dollars, but that's quite good. There's a chair for 65, another fishing rod for 20. I'm not gonna lie, I'm being drawn to that 15 quid rod and reel because it's in Froome and it's a complete setup. You've got a barrow here for 40. Another reel. I tell you, I'm gonna message to that seller. If he's free, I might go and grab that even this evening. Where is it? £15 carp rod and reel. Message seller. I'm not gonna send just the blanket. Is this still available? Hi there. Is this still available? Cheers. And what I'm not going to do, what a lot of people seem to do on Facebook Marketplace, because I've tried selling things on here before, is message someone and then just disappear and never respond again. If you're one of those, give your head a wobble. You're a pain in the arse on Marketplace. So I've just messaged this person. Let's have a look. Obviously, always check out the profile as well. I'm going to be blurring all this out so you don't see him. But he's got a good seller rating. I trust him. For 15 quid. Right, that's some of the alarms I used to have. Oh, sweet. He's actually already responded. It's still available. Are you available this evening? This guy's online at the moment. This couldn't have gone any better if I tried. Someone's actually online and replying. While we wait for him to reply, shameless little plug. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, then do. That's where I'm most active, really. I put posts up. I aim to do a post every single day, and I'm also uploading my stories, so lots behind the scenes from work, fishing, added extras, and just a bit of general day-to-day life. And as I've just been saying that, he's messaged, yes, I'm free now. My address is, obviously I'll blur all this out. Great, I can come now. Maro?
Margaret! Margaret!
Yes?
If I drove to Froome now, is that gonna work?
Sorry?
If I go to Froome now, is that all right? This guy's available already.
Oh, wow.
Or is that going to mess it? Tea's not going to be ready in then?
Tea's not ready for another hour.
Sweet. Right, I'm going to Froome then. You were very good then, Betty, by the way. Didn't interrupt me once. Thank you for manning the cameras. See you in a bit. Let's go. Woo! Well, I'm back home now, and as you can see from outside, it's pitch black because as anglers, once you get talking fishing, the hours could easily fly by. It wasn't hours, but it did go from light to dark in the time that we were on the doorstep. So it does mean I can't show you what I've bought in the best of light, so I'll show you tomorrow. But I did part with a little bit more than £15. I gave him 20, but he gave me a few extra bits in return once I told him what the plan of this series was. So when it's light tomorrow, I'll show you what I bought. And here we have it, my purchase for £20. Now it may look like I'm on the bank, but actually I'm in my garden. Still set up for my work shoot I've done today, but I thought why not carry on looking a bit more carpy than just in my living room before I go out fishing with this. And this is what £20 got me. Now this was actually up on Marketplace for 15, as I mentioned last night. I did give him 20 quid and he gave me a couple of extra bits, which I'll get onto in a second, which is quite nice. But let's talk about the rod itself to start with, because this is the first time I've seen it in daylight. The rod and reel. So we start with the rod. Came with a couple of bit of elastic bands. Take them off, and it's a 3-piece 12-foot rod. And the first thing I noticed is this setup. I know I'm talking about something that costs 15 quid. Weighs next to nothing. It is so lightweight, and I'm guessing that's because the carbon's pretty thin. It's only a 12-foot, 2.5-pound rod. So it's going to be lightweight. It's a 3-piece, it packs down nice and small. It's not a retractable, but if you want to keep space, or not take up too much space, then this is probably going to be a good rod for you, a good choice for you. I'm sounding a bit worky, I know, but that's the only way I know to present right now. Talking about a new rod, pop that one together. But this genuinely is the first time I've even put this rod together, so I hope all the sections fit. And we'll slide up to the top section. And there we have it. So, 12-foot, fairly chunky set, but pretty floppy. I mean, you probably can't see it too well on that lens, maybe a bit more on that one. As it's a 12-foot, 2.5, it's going to be a nice soft through action, but it still feels like there's plenty of backbone in the bottom of the rod to bring in carp nice and comfortably. Now, the one thing I'm noticing on the reel seat is dragon carp. Now, I'm not that clued up on brands and everything, but I'm pretty sure that used to be a huge tackle distribution centre, or I always remember that from old magazines I used to get when I was first into fishing. Dragon Carp was one of the ones that you skimmed through to see what products you want to get your hands on, and that logo and Dragon Carp came up all the time, so I'm pretty sure it's from them. Other than that, there's not much more branding. So it's just a Dragon Carp there, and it's a Dynamo compact carp, 12 foot, 2.5 pounds. So if you've ever owned one of these, let me know in the comment section below. I guess it's fairly old and it's still going, so it's a testament to itself, to the fact that its longevity is there. Thickness wise, I'm already feeling that's kind of like a beach caster, which suggests it's a bit of an older style rod, because blanks and carbon have got thinner and more refined over the years. So this is something that's a bit more old school, but it's exactly how I started fishing, with big chunky old rods that did exactly what you need them to. It's actually pretty comfortable and it looks pretty sleek. I'm guessing when this came out new, it probably looked a lot more shiny than this, with the gold bits on the bottom there, and a bit around the rail seat as well. All of that started to corrode a bit and fail, which is not understandable. Underneath here is a little line clip, or not a line clip, a hook clip. So that's perfect for hooking your rig on when you're packed down. But I use these when I'm surface fishing lots. So if you use this, I reckon this would be a beautiful surface fishing rod, because it's a lighter action. That's where you can just nick your hook in there. Got a really long hook link going up. So that's quite a nice little feature it's got on there. Then we get onto the eyes. I can't remember, they almost look like they've got spaces in them. The inners of these are so chunky. I don't even know what that is. I think the outer would originally have been about a 40 mil, but the bore on the inside is probably only looking at 30 mil. So that's very chunky eyes for the amount of diameter on the inside. There's not actually that many of them either. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 eyes, which I feel like that's not that many. But I'm nitpicking here. It's 15 quid for not just the rod, but the reel as well. So I'm looking forward to getting some fish on this. It feels like it's going to be good fun and good sport. Moving on to the reel. Now I think I'm a bit more at a loss as to what this is, because there is little to... Oh, hold on. If I take the spool off, there might be some lighting under there. The spool has seen better days, let's be honest. The fake chrome is nicely corroded. Some of the bits come off, so I don't want to lose any of this. This is where this reel falls apart on me. It seems to be all solid working order. I'm sure I saw something else. So this is Linear Effa. 7 ball bearings, Linear Effa. That's probably something that's in the reel. There's a 60, so it's a 60 size. Oh, there we are. Sharp stop, anti-reverse. Oh, I think these are just things that the reel has. Other than that, I cannot find any branding on this. But it seems to do what a reel needs to do. Let's just click that back in there. I haven't even checked if the clutch works on it. Yep, the clutch clicks, so it's not lost its clicker on there. And I'm guessing, let's see if we can lock this down. The clutch actually works. I should have done this before I bought it, but I wasn't going to quibble for 15 quid. Yep, that's now locked solid. So the clutch seems to be working. It's got a line clip. As I said, the spool has lost all of its, I guess it had a black coating on at some point, and it's worn down over the years. This has been much loved and much used, this reel, and hopefully I'll be able to give it some justice when I take it out and use it myself as well. I'm not sure what the line is on there. I may re-spool if that looks a bit knackered before I go fishing, hopefully tomorrow or on the weekend. It's actually a free spool reel as well. So as you can see, I flicks it into free spool, click it off, and you're back into your normal one. I'm guessing when I wind, it clicks it off, and there's your clutch for the rear. Does that still work? It does indeed. So everything this reel does and rod does will do exactly the same as what something that costs 20, 50, 100 times the price, and it only cost 15 quid. But as I mentioned, I did give the guy 20 quid because I started telling him about what the plan was for this shoot, and that I'm going to give away a load of stuff at the end. And the whole idea was getting into fishing on a cheap budget. As soon as he heard that, he was really generous and said, give me the 20 quid that I had in my wallet and he'll get you a few extra things. And he gave me this. Not the baby in bed show, I'm only joking. But brilliant, a net and a couple of bank sticks with a little butt rest as well. So I've got something to now put my rods on. These are solid metal ones, so they're not cheapy plastic things either. So I've got 2 good bank sticks, and then a lovely little net, which is probably going to be a bit small if I catch some carp, so I will take a carp net with me as well tomorrow. But if I was to use this for some smaller fish, some F1s, things like that, or maybe take it float fishing, this is absolutely perfect for that. Extendable little bank stick style handle. So for 20 quid, I got a net, a rod, a reel, and 2 butt rests, or bank rests, sorry, ready to take me fishing. You're probably bored of me waffling on about what I've bought and for how much. Let's actually take this fishing and see how it performs. Well, you now join me on the banks of one of my favourite local venues where I spent a lot of my angling life, because it's usually good for a bite, it's fun, it's local, it's also somewhere I caught some of my first ever carp some 18, 19 years ago from this exact bank actually, probably only 30, 40 yards down the bank. So it holds a lot of memories for me, and it's usually pretty good for a bite, which is why I've come down here. I'm just going to be using the single rod stay, and I've tried to whittle my kit down to as lightweight as possible. Some of this may look quite high end, because it is, but it's what I've got, it's what I'm going to use. In here is all the essentials I need for today. So I've got rigs, tackle components, even got my lunch in there and things. So although it looks really bulky, it's got a bucket of bait in there as well. So there's not actually all that much in there, it's just easier to carry around. And I've got an unhooking mat and my mat in there, and my net, sorry. A bucket of floating trout pellet in case I can get them on the surface, because although it's the early October, it's glorious sunshine today. I'm going to get up to low 20s, and a chair, so I'm nice and comfortable, of course. Everything is ready to go. I think I'm going to head round to the opposite bank, which is usually quite good for the margins, and it's in the sort of in the face of the wind. So if I get some mixers out when they start to come up, they should be drifting into fairly close to me. So I'm looking forward to today. It's getting on to midday already, so I've lost most of the morning, but I'm looking forward to this, and hopefully we can get a good bend in this little rod. Well, I'm now round to my swim, and the first thing I did before I set anything up was to get my bait out and trickle in some on either side of the margin. And I can see one of them right now, and so the reason I'm talking slightly quieter is because it has gone to chocolate soup already. So they've had that food down there for about 15 minutes so while I set the rod up, and it's, even watching now, I'm just seeing plumes of dirt come up, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be a quick bite there. But I'll quickly run you through the setup I've done whilst they were getting down there, getting their heads down and grubbing around. And it's really, really simple setup. The line I did test before I came out, the line that came on this reel is up to standard. It's nice and strong and thick. It's probably around the 18-pound mark, looking at the thickness of it and how much I was having to pull it. So I know the line is absolutely fine. I could have re-spooled, but I was lazy. Going down to the actual setup, a little bit of tungsten shrink tube and down to a lead clip, which I haven't fixed in place, so that's actually running on the line. As you can see, everything can slide out there, so nice and safe. And the other reason for doing that is because you get the slight bolt effect from the friction of the swivel. As soon as that swivel comes out, there's nothing for them to sort of try and shake the hook from, because that pivot point is now gone, that lead's running, and you get really good hook holds. Bait-wise and rig, nice and simple. It's another rig that I use all the time. It's a Fluoro D rig. Very minimal components, nice and anti-eject and resetting, really, really simple. And I've just got a super glugged bottom bait on there as well. So I'm not even using a wafter or anything. I think they're grubbing around so much, I don't need any kind of pop-up or wafter. They are churning up that bottom enough that I think they'll come across this and snaffle it. So just put that onto the quick change swivel, and we are good to go. And I'm gonna set up both cameras, because looking at that margin, even as I've been talking, I don't think it's gonna be long at all until we get a bite on this rod. Let's get it in there. Well, I know cameras never quite do it justice, but hopefully you can see well enough on this camera just how churned up this margin is. I've set the clutches, so this is when I'm playing the fish. Nice bit of give that I can adjust nice and quickly on the top of the spool, and also checking that the free spool, once that's engaged, is nice and loose. So everything's set, just got to lower the rig in and hope that we don't spook anything whilst I'm lowering it in and we get a quick bite. Donk is on the bottom, slacking it all off, and we're fishing. There we go. I was just watching the fish come in just down the margin, and there was one just under the surface, and I thought he's gonna drop, and he did. Ooh. It took about 10 minutes. Oh, that action. Lovely bend. Whee. Great fun. I mean, it's not the healthiest sounding reel, but it's bringing in line. It's letting off line when it needs to. And that rod is just bending beautifully all the way through. Now I'm glad I brought the mixers because I haven't put a single one out yet, but a few carp have been slurping at the surface on just general bits that have fallen off the trees. So I think there's a really good chance of getting them on the top as well. And also, where I've baited up 2 margins, I just went and chucked the left one. And again, it's all stirred up chocolate brown. So I reckon once I've got this one in, there's a good chance of getting another quick bite down on the left. Great fun. And this just shows how effective putting bait in first before you set anything else up can work, because those fish were feeding down there confidently with no lines in the water before I'd even thought about putting a rig in the water. Whew. Proper hot as well. There it is. Nice little mirror. Going for it. And that's the joy of using a softer action rod, is that these smaller fish, this is only at first glance about £8–9, they don't have to give you some stick, and you're allowed to enjoy the fight with a softer action rod. I want to try and keep away from that left margin because there are fish feeding there. I don't want this guy barreling through them all. I'd love to know the history of this reel and rod. Who had it before I bought it? Because the guy I bought it from, he buys and sells tackle. So I don't think this is anything he's used himself. He's bought it and sold it on to make a few quid here and there. So I'd love to know the history of this rod and reel. So if you're in the West Country and you own a dragon carp rod and battered old reel, I'd love to know when the last time was that it landed a carp. Oh, brilliant. Well happy with that. And there we go. First of hopefully many today. As I mentioned, the left-hand margin is also all clouded up, so I reckon if I slip this one back and put the rod back down there, we might be in for another bite down the margin fairly soon. I do want to try and catch them on the top as well, so that'll be good fun. But I hope that's proof that you don't need to spend a load of money to catch carp. Doesn't matter if you've got the flashiest rod in the world, it's all about what you put in front of the carp, finding them, feeding them, and hopefully catching them. Welcome, let's put him back. That took all of about 1.5 minutes. Oh, again, testament to putting bait in before you put the rig in. Because as soon as I got that fish in the net, well, as soon as I slipped it back, sorry, before re-rigging, getting everything ready on the rig, I went down to that margin, just trickled in about a dozen boilies, but broke them down, just crumbed them in, really trickled them in, just to keep any fish that were there occupied while I got the rig ready. And dropping a 3.5 ounce lead on the head did not put them off, because we're in again. And actually, as I was down there putting the bait in, there's a little channel between this swim and the back of the lake, and there were 3 or 4 fish just basking in the sun. Saw me and sort of just meandered off. Didn't spook, but didn't want to stay there, but that's not where the fish were feeding. Great fun. I've only been in this swim about 40 minutes. Come on, buddy. Ooh. 2 for 2. 2 peas in a pod, really, those 2 fish. Both came in pretty much as quick succession as each other. That rod had only been out a minute, 2 minutes tops, and it's gone off. So I've now got 2 margins which have been disrupted by angry little fish like this. I'm going to trickle a bit more bait back into each, retie a rig, because that's 2 fish on the same rig and the hook's just gone. So by the time I've retied the rig, hopefully there'll be some fish back in the areas feeding. Oh, I love this sort of fishing. 1 rod, getting them feeding, and when their confidence is up, their guard is down, and it becomes good fun and quite easy as well. hopefully the rest of the day continues as it started. Cheers. Oh, I got a bite. Hold you back, got a bite. It's on the phone with the boss. Lovely. It took more than 2 minutes actually. That was more like 5, which was disappointing. And he's right back to where I hooked him, stirring it all up, probably just making sure that all of his mates that were feeding with him know they need to clear off. Come on, buddy. Keep your head up. Oh, you took my hook bait. 3 for 3. And there we go, fish number 3. A bit more of a finicky bite. I was actually on the phone to my boss at the time. The tip banged round and started slacking off, and I was thinking, oh, is it still on? But this is typical of the sort of bites you get with a semi-fixed lead clip. You get the initial bolt and they don't really know what to do with it because there's no pivot point, and then they go off. And well, the first two didn't do that, but this is more the sort of bite I expect from that setup. Biggest of the lot, on the 12-13 pound mark. Really, really good fun. And it's quite nice fishing just with one rod, not worrying about potentially having another bite while I'm dealing with this on the bank. Haven't got the rod out and just baiting up the spots, getting them feeding confidently, dropping a rig in. I haven't had a single bite that's taken more than about 4 or 5 minutes so far. Maybe this one's the longest, 5 or 6. So really good fun. I do want to try and get them on the top. Been a few fish swimming around on the top and syruping at bits that come off trees. This one wants to go back. So I think once this one's back, I'll put the rod back out on the deck one more time, have some lunch, and then maybe see if we can get them on the top. There I was, sitting down on my laptop trying to get a bit of work done. I'm supposed to be doing a bit of editing today and I'm trying my best, and this one decided to rattle off. So alternating the margins on one rod seems to be paying off, because once again, putting bait in on the right margin whilst dealing with this fish and tying up a new rig, it looks like there's already fish back down there. But I think I'm going to slip the rod in one more time in the margin, and once doing that, because I have just managed to get the video I needed to edit today done, so I'm going to start firing out some floating baits and see if we can get them on the top. So it'd be lovely to catch one off the top before we head home today. But very welcome, lovely fish and really good fun. Well, I'd be lying if I said this was first cast. I've been at this surface fishing for an hour and a half, and it's been oh boy, it has been grueling. They were showing every signs of being carp that have been absolutely hammered on the surface all summer. You can get them feeding confidently enough, but as soon as they have the slightest inkling that a rod had been cast out, disappeared. So it was a constant case of cast bait, and sort of getting the bait on top of the float or just before the float as quickly as possible to give me the slightest chance. And I actually missed that bite. I was just putting the rod on the floor with the bait runner and it went off. But we finally got one off the top. Looks like a nice common. And as I expected, it's lovely playing it on this rod. Every little lunge is just donk, 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 but it cushions it. Look at that. I'm actually really impressed with this reel as well. Whatever this Liniefa is, it's actually got a pretty smooth clutch. It doesn't sort of tick when it's close to, it does sort of jump when it starts to give line. But once it's going, it's going to go now. It's pretty damn smooth. It's not jolty at all. And it's quite a, sort of, it's fine-tuned. I can just loosen it ever so slightly. And it should start taking line if he pulls a bit more. So it's not like it's a couple of clicks and it's locked solid and then click back, it's taken line. Look at that bend. Whoa. The fish is still on the top, but as much as I'd love to stay into the evening, I think if the next bite is going to be as hard to get as this one, I could be here till dark. And I've got a date with a bottle of wine, the sofa, and a pregnant wife at home. So I don't want to push it. Pregnant wife being the operative bit, because you don't want to end up being on the wrong side of them hormones. Oh, great fun. Beautiful evening as well, I think you'll agree. Look at the colours, the trees are just starting to turn over there, or have already started to turn. You've got some oranges, some really lovely colours, almost some reds up there actually, where the evening sun's hitting it. It's absolutely beautiful. Couldn't think of a better day's fishing and a better way to round it off than playing one off the top. Early October, still 20 odd degrees, with the colours like that. Absolutely beautiful. Well, the good old Dragon Carp Dynamo Compact 12 foot 2.5 has done me proud today. Here he comes, and he's in. 5 bites, 5 landed, and one big smile on my face. And there we go, fish number 5, caught using one of my most favourite methods off the top. It's a lot more frustrating because, as I said, that probably took an hour and a half of relentless trying. But when one does slip up, you feel that you've really earned it. Not to say that the ones this morning weren't fun, but it became a bit easy. So I wanted a bit more of a challenge, and catching them in such a visual method as the surface just cannot beat it for me. And I hope the one thing you take from today is that you can get into fishing with barely any money. I'm getting horrendous cramp in my left leg right now. Whew. You can tell I'm getting a bit older. I've only had 5 carp today, but I'm knackered. He's about to go. I've had a wonderful time, and this rod's going to get a lot more use in this series. So one thing I will ask of you is to like the video if you did, because it really does help get the channel growing and gets more engagement. It helps the video get picked up by other people. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, because there's lots more content like this. This series I'm going to continue. I'm going to get some more cheap stuff from Marketplace or eBay, places like that. So if you put in the comment section below what items of tackle you think I should try and get in this series, I'm going to aim to get a full complete kit, whether it's one rod or a couple of rods, even if it's mixed match, and at the end give it all away to someone that's looking to get into carp fishing and just needs a little bit of help. So let's get this one back. Hopefully that cramp doesn't come back. Woo, that's smarted. Back you go, buddy. Oh, I think I've earned that bottle of wine. What do you reckon? Merlot or Sauvignon? Oh, actually, I got that bottle of Amaretto. Bit of Disaronno and Coke. Rum and Coke. I don't know.